football presented by Xfinity. And welcome to the SEC on ESPN. It's the annual meeting, the Southwest Classic, an old conference rivalry in new conferences for Arkansas and Texas A&M here in Dallas at AT&T Stadium. And we're happy to be here as well. Bob Wischusen and Brock Ewart. Allison Williams will join us in just a moment. After 25 years of watching Coach Corso put the headgear on, I didn't think he could ever find a way to throw a curveball at you. The bluff, that was brilliant. I didn't think he'd come up with a new way to put the headgear on, but he just did. Speaking of new ways, we've got two brand new coaches with these programs trying to remake and reset in the SEC West. That can't be easy.
No, it's not easy, and college football is built on perception. It really is, and it's built on every week matters, and it's been a rough start for Arkansas. I mean, a really rough start for Chad Morris, and these 60 minutes can go a long way in changing some of the perception. On the other side, well, Jimbo's played Clemson to a 2-point conversion. Alabama tougher than anybody else. Every week matters, and this week is going to shape a lot of the conversation in Fayetteville and College Station.
Well, in Fayetteville, Allison, they are trying to get their program on track. They have to do it shorthanded today, though.
Yeah, Bob, the inconsistency on offense continues for Arkansas. You know, running back was one of just 5 positions on offense where they had the same starter every week until this week. Leading rusher Devwa Whaley unable to make the trip. He is out with a concussion. So former Aggie Rakeem Boyd gets his first start, and he admitted to having some extra juice today going against his former team. Now, they have settled in, though, at quarterback. This is the first week. There is no Orr listed on the depth chart. It is Ty Storey's job. And Coach Morris said this is important because he feels like inconsistency at the quarterback position magnified some of the issues with this offense. He said Storey earned this job with that toughness he showed last week at Auburn, earning the respect of his teammates and coaches.
A rivalry that dates back to 1915, the old Southwest Conference, reunited now, and Texas A&M joined the SEC. Conference rivals once again, and A&M starts with the football, and they start with a big play on the kickoff return. Jashaun Corbin. Is he in? And it's a touchdown! Jashaun Corbin, the true freshman, scores on special teams.
And that look from Chad Morris says it all. You have got to be kidding me. Punt return touchdowns the last 2 weeks, and now a kickoff return touchdown. That phase of the game, Allison could talk about the quarterback challenges and inconsistencies, but this phase of the game, the special teams, has just been a disaster for Arkansas.
It's 7-0. 14 seconds in. Auburn with 288 return yards last week against Arkansas. And that theme continues on the first play of the game here in Dallas.
And this is a phase where they were trying to bring some veterans in. You're going to see an incredible lead block right there to open up the alley from actually a true freshman, Jeremiah Martin. And we see this. Once you get a crease and you can hit it full speed, there's not going to be many kickers in college football that are going to run down the returner. You have all week to plan and prepare if you're Arkansas. And you're saying, all right, guys, special team, just play even against Jimbo in this team. We're going to have enough challenges on offense and defense at the line of scrimmage. Can you just play even in that phase? And hands on the hip, and you can see it all there with those numbers. It has just been such a struggle in that phase for the Razorbacks.
Auburn had 5 scoring drives against Arkansas last week that totaled 99 yards. Not only did they have a punt return for a touchdown, but 99 total yards of offense required to score 5 times. That just speaks to field position domination all day based on terrible special teams. So now Davion Warren will have a chance. He will have no chance as this one goes through the back of the end zone, as Braden Mann's got one of the strongest punting legs and kickoff legs in all of college football. It will be a touchback. So snap your fingers, you're Ty Storey, and you're on the field trailing by 7.
And he's got quite a storybook career, a small town in Arkansas. This means the world to him. He showed incredible grit and toughness last week, picking himself up off the mat time and time again. Took a beating at Auburn, and in so doing gained the respect, I know, of his coaching staff and his players as well.
Rakeem Boyd, nothing on first down. Otaro Alaka made the stop.
He makes a lot of stops. He and his buddy Dodson, 25, the two linebackers here for Mike Elko. And these are guys that played a ton of ball, and they don't mess around. Especially Alaka, when he sees something, he is coming downhill 100 miles an hour.
Boyd in space for 2 yards.
And this has been the problem. I mean, these two things just show up in the first less than 60 seconds of this game. Special teams and third downs. The conference's worst as far as executing on this down and distance, because many times you've been looking at this, and it is a group that is just not equipped on the perimeter and consistency at quarterback to win in 3rd and 8.
Blitz coming. Storey across his body, incomplete. Jeremy Patton, the tight end, couldn't hold on. So a nightmarish start for Arkansas. They give up a 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. They go 3 and out, and the tight end's limping off the field.
That's too bad. They actually have it. He had good enough protection. A&M and Mike Elko loves to bring extra people on 3rd down. And Arkansas's group up front, give him credit. Gave Storey the opportunity to step up into that pocket, but low and away. A drop, and now a punt.
You can see as much of a strength as special teams has been for Texas A&M. It has been a weakness for the Razorbacks. Pretty good kick here, though, from Reed Bauer. Returnable for Rashad Paul. Good coverage. Back to the 21-yard line. Texas A&M about to put their offense on the field for the first time with a touchdown lead.
ESPN, home of the college football playoff.
We called this very game between A&M and Arkansas last season, and Brock Eward, we saw Kellen Mond make his first start in that game. Seems like he's only gotten better since.
Yeah, overcame adversity, an overtime win, a 50-point shootout a season ago, and he's a tough kid. And if you're going to play quarterback for this head coach, you're going to grow some calluses really quickly. And Jimbo said he's as tough as anyone I've had, physically, mentally. Comes for his dad's been in the Army. He has been around the block, and yeah, he is. He's playing his best ball. And when you face Alabama and Clemson, it's basically downhill from there as far as the groups you're going to be facing in the front.
Trayveon Williams breaks a tackle, has a first down and more. Near midfield before he is finally pushed out by the Razorbacks.
Brock was mentioning how hard Coach Fisher is on quarterbacks. Kellen Mond says he loves it. He goes, it actually suits me really well because his expectation for quarterbacks is perfection, and that's the expectation I hold myself to. He said, I absolutely welcome the hard coaching from Coach Fisher.
There is a flag on the play.
Holding. Offense number 1. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
The entire receiving corps, it seems, for Texas A&M are all sophomores, and Courtney Davis, one of those sophomores, costs his team with a holding call.
Well, I'll tell you what, you watch these guys. This whole team has gotten a lot tougher. I mean, they block out on the edge. Every one of these receivers, Osmond number 2 really sets the tone in that way, but Courtney comes along for the ride as well. They know that if they can block out on that perimeter and help their buddy out, Trayveon Williams is a home run ready to be hit at any moment.
Spot foul, so it's still first down. Now the odd 1st and 7. Toss to Trayveon Williams. And this time he is met by the Razorbacks after a gain of a couple. Well, building off what Allison was talking about, Brock, with Kellen Mond taking the hard coaching from Jimbo Fisher. We've covered a lot of Jimbo Fisher's games at Florida State and saw a lot of quarterbacks that went on to NFL careers, high draft choices. All the way through his career, he's had high draft choice quarterbacks. And I don't remember him talking more glowingly about a young quarterback than he was with Kellen Mond yesterday.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. 11 of his quarterbacks in the NFL, the last half dozen have all been first-round picks, and I think it speaks to the kid's toughness and perseverance.
His first throw is on time. Jace Sternberger, who's been quite a find at tight end. Tight end, a position that A&M fans weren't used to seeing much of. And Sternberger emerges, and he is right on the doorstep of a first down.
He's been awfully good for him. 4 touchdown receptions, and I mean, we've talked about it seemingly more, Bob, this year in this September than I can ever remember as well. Just the number of unique stories in college football. And you can see there, I mean, just no production over the years at that position. And for Jace, been phenomenal. Guy started at Kansas, went to a junior college, and you got talent, they will find you.
Might be a free play for Kellen Mond. And he will go down. McTelvin Agim jumped. And he was offsides at the snap.
Outside. Defense, number 3, 5-yard penalty. First down.
I think this front knows they've got to get off the ball today. That half-step advantage that you have got to gain against a group that's a little bit bigger and stronger than you up front. But you can't do that.
Play action. Trayveon Williams there to pick up the blitzer. Mond has time. Trying to lead his receiver to the sideline. And Kendrick Rogers couldn't pull it in, but it looks like he drew a flag. Redshirt freshman Jarquez McClellan was back in coverage.
Pass interference. Defense, number 24, 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
And if you're going to miss short, because then you at least get the opportunity for that, and I guess some early contact deemed by the back judge. And Rogers has grown more and more week after week. Chad doesn't like it, but I bet part of him saying, if you're going to call it that way, and you're going to call it tight, you better call it that way for 60 minutes and for us on the other side too.
Mond on a rollout. Blitzer coming from the backside. They can't catch Kellen Mond. Boy, he has wheels. And he's got a first down easily inside the 40-yard line. He picks up 12.
Maybe that's another reason that Jimbo was pretty effusive in his praise yesterday. Is E.J. Manuel and Christian Ponder and Jamarcus Russell and the guys through the years, even Jameis, not necessarily the runners that he is. And when you run for 100 yards against Alabama in that group a week ago, you know it takes quite a bit of courage and conviction to do it. And he's been doing that all season long.
Trayveon Williams gets to about the 32 before he's cut down. He picks up 5. Derek Munson made the stop. Thing that impressed me the most about Kellen Mond was the amount of control and authority he has at the line of scrimmage, according to Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah, about 70% of the snaps have some form of check. And whether that's going to be, one of these run plays that's run to a certain technique, or whether that's getting a protection check. But Jimbo puts an awful lot on his quarterbacks. Why he's got Daryl Dickey, a veteran coach upstairs, equally working right alongside Kellen Mond. And you know that recruiting pitch. You come and play for Jimbo, you're going to get to the NFL, and you're going to learn to play the full depth of the QB position.
Williams has a lane, has a first down, and gets taken down at the 20-yard line. 13 more for Trayveon Williams.
He has a fullback in front of him in Colin Gillespie wearing that number 12, that esteemed number 12 jersey. The tight ends, that's a little bit new. Fullbacks, that's a little bit new. But the ability to put your hand in the dirt and go out and get somebody, and a beautiful kick out there by Gillespie, and it doesn't take much for Trayveon to do some damage.
Almost went to an Ivy League school, did Cullen Gillespie, before deciding to walk on at Texas A&M, and he gets to wear the honored 12. Mond steps up, squeezes one inside the 5-yard line to Rashad Paul, and he tries to squeeze it inside the pylon and gets taken down at the 1-yard line. First and goal for A&M at the 1.
And here, and you see just the challenge of defending this A&M group. It's everything. It's two back, it's tight ends involved, it's movement passes, it's drop back shots down the field. And that was an awfully tight window, maybe just a beat late, but because of the velocity, he's able to get it to Paul to put it on the 1-yard line.
No 12th man has ever scored a touchdown. Gillespie is out there as the fullback in the eye. Trayveon Williams, he's got a bunch of touchdowns. He'll try for another here. Does he have it? He does! Another touchdown for Trayveon Williams, his 5th of the season.
It's that fullback. It was the 12th man that didn't get the ball, but he got the first block. He initiates the second contact, and the power right on through. As you said, Trayveon just needs a little bit. And you can't arm tackle him. You can't catch him from the side when he gets his shoulders facing the goal line. He's going to drive through that tackle.
An 8-play, nearly 80-yard scoring drive. Williams had 5 carries for 33 yards and the touchdown. True freshman Seth Small tacks on the extra point. Quick start for A&M, up by 2 scores early.
ESPN College Football is presented by Xfinity. Now with ESPN3 available on Xfinity X1. And in part by Mazda. Feel alive.
It's the Southwest Classic here in Dallas, Texas A&M. And Arkansas. And it's A&M with 2 losses to 2 top 5 teams as they almost pulled off a miracle comeback against Clemson back in week 2, and last week it's pretty much every opponent so far this season seems to be outclassed by Alabama. But they are off to a quick start against Arkansas. Bob Wischusen alongside Brock Hewitt, Allison Williams with us here in Dallas as well. Maybe on Warren. He's going to bring it out from 2 yards deep. Bad decision. Never a bad decision to talk to Adnan Burke.
Right back at you, Bob Wischusen. Great to hear you guys out of the gate. West Virginia, Texas Tech. Will Greer's not wasting any time, Bob. Goes right to Gary Jennings, 13-yard touchdown. It's 14-0. As Jesse Palmer said, first one to 100 wins. Game's on ESPN2. And Alabama is hosting Lafayette. Good luck. Tua Tagovailoa to Henry Ruggs, 14-0 on the SEC Network midway through the first. Bob, back to you and Brock.
It's always a good bet to figure out when West Virginia and Texas Tech play football. Will the football game outscore the basketball game when they play in the winter? It's got a chance. Rakeem Boyd, as a field position, has not been the enemy of Arkansas so far this season. And up, Brock, you make a bad decision to bring a kickoff out from 2 yards deep. And you are starting now inside your own 12-yard line, and you'll lose a yard on first down.
And Matabike is a monster. I mean, he has become such a stud. I think a player that's really grown in confidence when he plays some of the very best in college football. Remember his name this season. He's going to keep getting better and better.
Storey on the slant. May have been tipped at the line, and that might have thrown the timing off for Jordan Jones, as Debian Renfro thought he might have had a chance at a pick. Now it's 3rd down and 11.
And here you go again. It was 3rd and 8 the first time. Now you're 3rd and 11, and you just can't live in these situations. Trying to use tempo to simplify the blitzing on the other side. But these are hard conversions for the best of offenses in college football, let alone one that has had so many moving parts.
A&M shows a 6-man rush. They'll rush 4. Storey out of the pocket. Inside the 5, and he's dragged down. Landis Durham gets the sack. His 2nd of the season. And it goes from bad to worse for Arkansas. They'll be punting from the end zone.
Yeah, you get Durham on a running back, and this is why Mike Elko is being paid what he's being paid here to coordinate this defense. Why Jimbo wanted him. He matched wits with him when he was up at Wake Forest, and you just move around your personnel. We talk about matchups on offense. I got to get this matchup, that matchup. You can do the same on defense with your blitz package. Durham beating the running back too easy, too clean. And a punt in your end zone.
Boy, talk about showing zero respect for the opposing team's punter. Rashad Paul was set up at Arkansas's 40-yard line. Now he's got it at his own 49 with a flag down. I think 3 different officials saw the same foul, as 3 flags all came flying in after a 47-yard punt, which for Reed Bauer wasn't too bad from the back of his end zone with pressure coming.
During the return, illegal blocking the back. Receiving team number 10, 10-yard penalty, first down. Timeout.
Texas A&M with the football, a 14-0 lead. A pass rush as if the bad snap wasn't enough for Ty Storey to have to deal with. Then he had to deal with Landis Durham. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewart, Allison Williams back here in Dallas. Jimbo Fisher and Darryl Dickey make up a really interesting tandem and how they work cooperatively to call plays and develop this offense.
Yeah, the eyes up above to see it and just constant conversation. And Darryl saying yesterday, as a former play caller, head coach, Jimbo is so very good, has such an amazing feel for what he wants to do.
Toss to Trayveon Williams. 5 yards on first down.
And I really am a firm believer that there's something to be said about a play caller. That you just build that reputation, and as a QB there's just guys that you love to play for, that you just know what he is going to call. It's not just your base stuff or just off the script or game plan. And Darryl Dickey's up there and he's charting every one of these plays, and after each series, you know, they will have a conversation about what they did, what they saw. And you can see it, just constant communication through it. And as he said, one play ahead. The best play callers are constantly one play ahead.
An interception thrown by Kellen Mond. Oh, that is exactly what Arkansas needed to get back in the game as Mond tried to fit one in. And Dre Greenlaw was there in coverage, and he comes away with the pick.
Yep. And that's one where Jimbo, if he's one play ahead, he's thinking, I'm going to run a little 6-yard stick route versus some zone coverage. Kellen's going to get it out of his hand. And, you know, we're going to move the chains. And instead, a veteran linebacker, Dre Greenlaw, sees the eyes of Mond locked in. Look at his eyes the entire way. And it's that second hitch. It is that second hitch, that split-second decision there to just hold it and make sure he gets out of his route that allows Greenlaw to do the spectacular and cut underneath it and give Arkansas exactly what they needed.
Now we have to keep an eye on Dre Greenlaw. He had a high ankle sprain in the first quarter of their opening game and just came back last week. TJ Hammonds is met after a gain of 4.
Oh, yeah, guess who?
Donovan Wilson.
Yeah, he's gotten 2 targeting penalties already this season. And trust me, I think this officiating crew knows that. Not that you're looking out and have any bias against him, but he is such an explosive kid. He is their big hitter, and you could just tell when he is around the pile, things change.
Quarterback run for Ty Storey. A yard shy of the first down. 3rd down and 1 for Arkansas. And you get a takeaway at midfield. You cannot give up this field position. This is an enormous 3rd down by 14 early.
And it was 3rd and 8, and it was 3rd and 11, and these are the downs and distances. And frankly, number 4 has got to run it just like that on QB design runs. Double digits today. It's the only numbers advantage that you're going to have, I think, offensively. Not necessarily maybe on 3rd and 1, but over the course of these 60 minutes, he is going to take a beating, and he's going to have to with this offense.
TJ Hammonds loses yardage. And now what do? It's 4th down and 4. You start right at midfield. Do you punt it back with that field position down by 2 touchdowns? It looks like they will. Here comes Reed Bauer. That is a big missed opportunity for the Arkansas offense.
And that time it was Dalen Mack. It was the other nose defensive tackle. And that's against your best offensive lineman. That's Yelda Froholt, your senior lineman. And that is just a one-on-one situation where the former 5-star who's playing like it finally in 2018 dominated the point of attack.
Mike Elko's defense does a tremendous job dealing with sudden change as Bauer with a kick that barely gets inside the 20-yard line. Arkansas misses a big opportunity. Look at this week's blimp-worthy play brought to you by Goodyear. And Ohio State and Penn State brought us plenty. The last 2 years have been crazy. Grant Haley with the blocked field goal, 60-yard return for a touchdown 2 years ago, and Penn State won it. And then Ohio State with J.T. Barrett, 16 yards to Marcus Ball with 1:48 left. Last year it was a 1-point win. What will we have in store tonight for the whiteout in Happy Valley. Saturday Night Football presented by Wells Fargo at 7:30. It's Ohio State and Penn State.
I think we are in for one whale of a game. I think Trace McSorley is the greatest winner right now in college football, and Ohio State has so much talent and speed.
Jashaun Corbin. It looked like Arkansas again jumped at the snap. Not sure if the officials dropped a flag, if they're going to say that Arkansas got back. No, there is a flag on the near side of the field right at the line of scrimmage.
Well, we've seen both edges. It was a game earlier, and this time clearly Randy Ramsey.
Outside. Defense number 10. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
These are the pre-snap penalties. These are the special teams tackles. These are the 3rd and 1s. These are the things that are just going to drive Chad Morris crazy this season if they cannot find a way to clean it up. And these two head coaches inherited some different talent. You know, different programs, different pieces in place. You don't have a quarterback you feel good about. It's awfully difficult. And you've got an entirely new scheme that makes it that much harder as well.
Corbin, who began the game with a 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown, picks up 3.
And just take a look. You know, these tight ends, all 3 of them were not on the roster for A&M last year for Jimbo Fisher. They had some work to do. Trevor Wood was a graduate transfer. Told the story of Sternberger earlier, but just look at the difference there under center for Kellen Mond.
Those numbers are crazy. 7 snaps under center all of last season. Already 34 snaps under center this year, and we're only into the 5th week. It's a totally different offense. As Corbin finds a jump cut, it looks like he finds a first down right at the line to gain. Randy Ramsey was there to make the tackle, but it will be A&M moving the chains.
And I'll say this as well. I know there are so many spread schemes in college football, but I think if you surveyed the 129, 130 offensive coordinators and said, what personnel group would you like? I think most of them would still say, give me 2 tight ends. Because the flexibility it gives you, especially when you've got an athletic tight end, because it keeps base personnel, it slows down defenses, it just gives you so much more artillery in your game plan when you've got that position, especially 2 of them.
On up the seam, dropped. Jamon Osborne had it right in his hands. A late flag, though, thrown. After Osborne dropped it, he got hit, and we'll have to check the call.
Personal foul. Defense number 9 targeting. The previous play is under review.
That's the senior Santos Ramirez. McClellan was there as well as they sandwiched Jamon Osborne. Let's take another look. Watch number 9 on the right side of your screen. Was that to the head or neck area? Was that with the shoulder? Was that the crown of the helmet?
Defenseless player. So it's any forcible contact to the head or neck area.
At first blush, I don't think that's targeted.
I don't think it is either. I think he comes across and hits his shoulder pad. The face masks, I think, may have grazed, and this is one of those calls that is so fast. I mean, we're slowing it down here, but for those officials on the field, it is such, and I think anytime they see that head snap back, right? I mean, these officials are looking for those trigger points. You know, the lean of a body and how somebody falls and if that helmet snaps back.
At full speed, you can certainly understand why the head snaps back, player is kind of linear to the ground.
Yep.
It has some of those trigger points that might say, whoa, that kind of looked like targeting. But when you slow it down and you start to look at these triggers that mean it's targeting or not, you think any of these boxes are checked?
Yeah, I think I don't see that. I see the contact more to the shoulder area of the wide receiver and just kind of the glancing of the face mask against it. And the safety's job here, okay, these two, their job and responsibility in the zone coverage is to do what? Is to make sure you separate the receiver from the ball.
There is no foul for targeting. Number 9 will remain in the game. The pass is incomplete. Second down.
That's a really good job by replay. Once you slow it down, you do see that it just didn't meet any of the criteria for targeting, and I think we agree.
And you can't take that fear away. You cannot. The reason Osmond dropped that ball is what? Because he knows what is right behind him. He knows that two guys are coming clean to take the ball out of his hands only through contact. That's the right call.
Still the true freshman Jashaun Corbin in at tailback. Second down and 10. Corbin right up the middle. They're just changing the line of scrimmage is that offensive line for the Aggies as they pick up 6.
That was a really nice job by the right tackle there, 54, Carson Green. We talk about the tight ends and the fullbacks. They've also served a few more stakes down in College Station because this is the biggest group of linemen they have ever had. They got some big old ribeyes down there in Texas. This group weighs 315 pounds on average. You see the commitment for Jimbo, knowing you're going to win a national title, you're going to win it at the line of scrimmage first.
I have a feeling I would really feel at home at the A&M training table. Third down and 4. 5-man front for Arkansas. They bring a 5-man rush. Clean pocket for Mond, and he missed. Threw it behind Jamon Osmond, and Osmond couldn't hold on. That's a break for Arkansas because Mond had no traffic around him in a clean throwing lane.
Yeah, those are a couple throws now. That's a little stick route to the tight end, and this is one that you should hit in your sleep. Everything is right there. I mean, that's on a scale and a degree of difficulty of every throw a QB makes. That little 5-yard in cut right in front of you wide open, about as easy as it gets, especially for two guys that played a senior year of high school together as they did at the IMG Academy.
Braden Mann has an NFL punting leg, and this takes a hop and stays in bounds for a touchback.
Just comes off his foot a little different, doesn't it?
Yeah, that was a bad break for Braden Mann. It looked like he was going to kill that inside the 10-yard line. Back again to Adnan.
All right, Bob, thank you. It's the CarMax Drive What's Possible studio update. Alabama continuing to roll. It's Jalen Waddle, a 63-yard punt return for a touchdown. 10th punt return touchdown in the last 5 seasons. That leads all FBS. And Louisiana coach Billy Napier, former Nick Saban assistant. 28-0 right now in the SEC network. Not even through one yet, Bob.
So a nice soft landing in the middle of the Alabama schedule for the Tide. An SEC matchup here in Dallas at AT&T Stadium. Southwest Classic, the yearly renewal of this rivalry between Arkansas and Texas A&M. And once again, renewing acquaintances. Dalen Mack with the quarterback, Ty Storey. It's another Aggie sack.
Yeah, well, that is just not a matchup that's going to work for Arkansas today. That's Ty Clary playing center. Started there a week ago, worried about his snaps. And then you've got this guy, about 6 foot, 310 pounds. And a senior who changed his number from 5 to 34. He's changed his career. He knows what is looming with an NFL future in front of him. And he's shown up in big ways his senior year.
Check down to Rakeem Boyd. Out to the 16-yard line. Picks up a handful, but it'll be third down and long again. A lockup with the stop. This offense can't afford negative plays. And there are certain offenses that have the explosive ability. If they take a sack, and if they get tackled behind the line of scrimmage, they can recover. This group this year has just not shown an ability to dig themselves out of that hole. Another blitz. One-on-one down the sideline. Incomplete. Well, Michael Petway tried to fight his way back to the football, and Charles Oliver tracked him right down the sideline.
There's no face guarding in college football. And, you know, they're both hand fighting. There's no way you're going to call anything. It's a poorly thrown football. He's out of bounds. He's run right to the sideline. You've done the things you can't do a wide receiver. If you're going to hand fight, you're not going to get the call. If you run yourself out of bounds and you don't give your quarterback any room, you're not going to get the call either. And that points to your point, Bob, of why you can't be in 3rd and 14.
4 straight possessions and 4 straight 3-and-outs. Fair catch for Rashad Paul. Well, Monday Night Football, the matchup is set. AFC West, Patrick Mahomes of the Chiefs in the Mile High City to take on Von Miller and the Broncos. 8:15 Eastern, 5:15 Pacific on ESPN. Simulcast on ESPN2 in Spanish. Available on the ESPN app so you can watch anywhere. Our coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown at 6, and a chance to watch again in a Broncos uniform, one of the all-time great Aggies in Von Miller.
Such a disruptor, and he's going to have to be, because what Andy Reid and Mahomes got going offensively, it feels a little bit like the Rams. I mean, there are just so many weapons. And Von Miller is obviously a beast, and 3 sacks in the opener, a forced fumble against the Seahawks. But when you play those tempo teams that just spread it, and you're starting to see more of that at the NFL level, try to negate the greats like Von.
Trayveon Williams picks up 2. That will take us to the end of the first quarter. 14-0. Texas A&M has the lead over Arkansas after 1 here in Dallas. Welcome back to college football, presented by Xfinity. This is the SEC on ESPN. Bob Wischusen here with Brock Ewart. Allison Williams set for the start of the second quarter of the Southwest Classic. Arkansas and Texas A&M. The Aggies scored on a 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown on the first play of the game, and they pretty much dominated the first quarter. Good field position to start off the second quarter as well, with second down at their own 41. Kellen Mond, well protected. Long throw to the sideline for Buckley. Camron Buckley's got it. Out of bounds at the 36 of Arkansas.
And that's a well-thrown football. I mean, that's some of the up and down still, I think, with Kellen a little bit in this system with Jimbo. Is the little 6-yard out route, the little 5-yard in route, like those gimmies. You call those gimmies, I think, as a coordinator, as a QB. And then that post corner, that long throw all the way across the field is just thrown beautifully.
And thrown from a perfectly protected pocket.
You think?
Boy, that's like 7-on-7. Williams inside the 30 and into the red zone.
Outside. Defense number 5. That penalty is declined. The result of the play is a first down.
That's now the 3rd offsides here, right at the bottom of the screen by Arkansas. You've seen it from every one of those edge players, and it's just trying to, and that's Gerald, the JUCO transfer. That's just trying to, once again, get a head start. Give Mr. Mond some credit, too. He's obviously using his voice and inflection and snap count to get it done.
Rolled out for Mond. Finds a cutback lane and gets cut down. Picked up a couple to the 18. Briston Guidry stayed home and made the stop. I'll talk about a totally different experience for both quarterbacks so far. I'm not sure from your playing days if you can empathize with a Ty Storey, who feels like he's under siege on every play, or Kellen Mond just getting to stand behind a brick wall.
Yeah, I mean,
no pressure on him when he wants to drop back.
It looks like Jared Goff the other night with the Rams. You're just playing 7-on-7, unconscious because you're not feeling any pain.
Pass protection is there again. He takes a shot to the end zone, looking for Sternberger. It looked like Ramirez might have gotten a hand up on Sternberger's shoulder pads. No flag comes out.
Guys, it's a good thing that A&M line is playing so well, because everything they do gets blown up on that giant jumbotron here at AT&T Stadium, and that's how offensive line coach Jim Turner watches the game. He actually kind of backs up into the tunnel so he can see the screen. He said there is nowhere better to coach than here because of that vantage point. And he told his guys, don't hide and don't lie to me because I can see everything.
That screen is bigger than my backyard. Mond over the middle. The crosser is Jamon Osborne. Well short of the first down, though, so it is 4th down and 3. And I would expect Jimbo Fisher will send out the field goal group.
That old adage, the eye in the sky doesn't lie. That's a jumbo screen. up there in the sky. It doesn't lie as well, and he's got to be liking what he's seeing. Just his linemen are passing some of these different stunts off. They're getting constant movement at the point of attack. He's one of the few coaches that was retained by Jimbo because he loved the way Fisher told us yesterday that Jim Turner teaches.
Seth Small, the true freshman, from 30 yards out. Stays perfect on the year, 6 for 6, and it's a 17-0 Aggies lead.
That while Dari, Gene, and Chris are watching this, doing that, and talking to this guy, which means you can watch it all later when you tune in to SEC Now, tonight on the SEC Network.
And this season, Taco Bell is celebrating student sections and passionate fans like these by awarding the best student section of the year. We've got the Texas A&M student section already on the national watch list. Go to ESPN.com/Taco Bell to see how your school can compete.
I think Herbie said that game down at A&M against Clemson was one of the loudest environments that he had ever been in, and Herbie's been in the best of them.
Well, all the A&M fans that have made their way here today, they're making plenty of noise as we go back to AtNet again.
All right, Bob, thank you. Speaking of making plenty of noise, we've seen that so far from West Virginia taking on Texas Tech. This is Kennedy McCoy. This was after Will Greer hooked up with Marcus Sims. Now McCoy goes in 28-7 through one quarter play. Once again, it's on ESPN2. Greer on that Mountaineers offense. Good luck slowing them down. Syracuse, Clemson, Trevor Lawrence splits wide. Travis Etienne punches it in before the score. First time Clemson had trailed in over a year at home. 7-6 on ABC, Bob.
Yeah, but Adnan, that Syracuse program keeps on getting more and more competitive under Coach Babers. Death Valley is a brutal environment. They're playing really well so far. And Cheyenne O'Grady gets loose. The tight end makes a big play for Arkansas. Just what they needed. Their offense looked helpless up to that point. Now they want to play with tempo as O'Grady gets a big chunk play down close to the 30-yard line of A&M. Although they'll move him back to the 39, saying he stepped out of bounds. So it's a 36-yard gain. Yeah,
that was really well-conceived play. You had to do something for 3 and outs, just getting nothing going. And that time, a little run-pass option look, and actually not throwing it to the receivers, but to the tight end that snuck his way out. That was well done.
Rakeem Boyd. Back-to-back plays. These are the first 2 first downs of the game for the Razorbacks.
Maybe Coach Morris, a little bit of a fire underneath this offense. You know, he's known for being so positive no matter the adversity. He was upset with his guys, and he let them hear it. He said, we have got to get going. Really got after center Ty Clary. He said, you need to get mad. That is enough. We have seen enough. You have to be better than that. You're not playing the way you're capable.
Well, it's the first time in the game as Boyd gets shut down right at the line, Brock, where A&M has not owned the line of scrimmage on either side.
Yeah, and I think part of that from Chad is, you know, what I inherited from Brett Bielema was a bunch of linemen, a bunch of hogs. I mean, this group should know how to get its pads down. This group should know how to stay square to the line of scrimmage. We've seen Froholt get beat. We've seen Clary get beat a few different times. That is the one thing that Chad Morris coming in here should have felt good about, and in the first quarter and a half they were dominated.
And a little exotic formation as they throw one up the seam again. It's O'Grady. They took the left tackle Colton Jackson, split him out wide to the right to kind of fool with A&M from a formation standpoint, and that allowed O'Grady from the line to go right down the seam.
He's not covered up on the outside. And the reasons he is eligible to pocket moves, and here comes yet another exotic little wrinkle as the 6'8" Cole Kelley comes into the game, typically to run the football.
He's carried it 12 times this season, only for 14 yards, but he does have 1 touchdown. First and goal at the 6. And there is quarterback power. No, a little fake. Kelley wants to throw it and throws it away through the back right corner of the end zone as he had Deion Stewart tied up. And let's see if that is a one-play experiment. It will be. Ty Storey is back now in a quarterback.
Yeah, and you've run that play, that QB power, so many times, but A&M not fooled. And watch the tight end at the very top of your screen here. He actually gets thrown down to the ground. He's trying to block and separate. He can't as he ends up on his back.
Quick toss out to the edge. TJ Hammonds cuts it back, and is brought down just shy of the goal line.
Wow.
Third down and goal.
That was one heck of a tackle from Tyrell Dodson. As you could hear the Arkansas faithful in this building all rise to their feet. It looked like there was so much space. But that's what the unique tacklers do. The leading tackler was Dodson a season ago with 100.
And the quarterback change made once again. Storey out and the 258-pound Cole Kelley in.
Big country.
Third down and goal. Inside the 1. Kelley, a high snap, gathers and scores. He lost the football in the end zone, but the official on the far side says touchdown. Cole Kelley broke the plane, and the moment that he gets to that white end zone chalk, the play is over. It doesn't matter if the ball popped out. The official on the far side absolutely signaled touchdown before the ball came loose. So Arkansas scores. And they're a point after away from making this a 10-point game.
No, it's hard to snap over the head of a 6'8 quarterback. But Ty Clary nearly did, and I'll tell you what, I think that ball crosses clearly. I'll tell you what, sometimes on kickoff returns, you see them get out when a ball gets fumbled back there, right? And that defense just freezes for half a second. Slow to explode through, and that's a big one.
The play clock went all the way down to zeros, but they have to reset it because the officials hadn't even set the ball ready for play yet. So the extra point is put through by Connor Limpert. We got a 10-point game.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Nissan, premier partner of the Heisman Trophy.
A&M tight end Jay Sternberger realized at a young age that the length of a friendship does not define the depth of a friendship. He had just 6 months with Alfonso Reñaga before brain cancer tragically took his life at 13 years old, but he will carry that friendship with him forever and has honored his friend through a series of tattoos on his left arm that feature a stairway to heaven and a cross with Alfonso's name, birth date, and date of passing. And Sternberger is very much considered a part of Alfonso's family to this day, and he said his relationship with Alfonso changed his life. He said it changed how I look at people and my perspective on life.
Fair catch called for by Rashad Paul, so it will come out to the 25-yard line. And let's go back to Adnan.
All right, Bob, thank you. Another update on Alabama. Louisiana playing them, and Jalen Hurts in the game, so that means he can't redshirt now. New rule no longer applies to him. Hurts to Henry Ruggs. They're putting on a clinic right now, no matter who's at the quarterback. 35-0 right now. Bama on SEC Network, Bob.
All right, Adnan, thanks very much. And back to that story that Allison was telling about Jay Sternberger and his friendship with Alfonso. Once Alfonso was confined to a wheelchair, as Allison was talking about, that made the two even more inseparable. In school, he was the designated wheelchair pusher. Just a great story about a friendship that will last in the memory of Sternberger forever, as Trayveon Williams picks up 9.
That perspective. There's no question about it. It's why NFL guys love to draft people that have grit in their background. I have a broader understanding. And Sternberger, not only that friendship that changed his life, he goes to Kansas. Plays 2 years at Kansas. At that point, one of the worst programs in college football. Then plays at a junior college. And A&M finds him, and what a difference maker he's been.
Williams. It looks like he has a couple of yards and a first down. And talking to Jimbo Fisher about wanting to come to Texas A&M, employ his system, which involves the tight end. Well, the previous system didn't involve the tight end at all. So where'd you find Jay Sternberger? How does it all of a sudden come to you to say, we've got a kid we think we can have as a starting tight end in the SEC that couldn't make it at Kansas, one of the worst Power 5 football programs in America? And he said, we just watch tape.
Yep.
Just turn the tape on.
Form our own opinions.
You can see on the tape that he can do this. And boy, were they right. He's got 4 touchdown receptions already this season. High snap. Mond pulls it down. And Trayveon Williams picks up close to 6 more.
And how about this commitment from Jimbo right away? Okay, you get a little momentum. You feel good about yourself. The Arkansas faithful love the little bit of the trick of formation there and the shot to the tight end. This is a veteran play caller that says, that's fine. I'm just going to use my 313-pound lineman, and I'm going to run right at you. And I'm going to take the air out of this football a little bit, and then more than likely going to set up some play action pass right off of it.
It's Williams. And that brings up 3rd down and short. Dre Greenlaw held the edge. Santos Ramirez helped on the stop of Williams. So this is a big moment, you can sense, midway through the second quarter for Arkansas's defense. Can they get a stop on 3rd down coming off the touchdown? A&M in the power eye with Gillespie in at fullback. A toss to Trayveon Williams. Looking for a cutback lane. Brought down right at the line to gain. Cameron Curl, Randy Ramsey combine on the stop. It depends on the spot of the football. Looks like he might be just a shade short. See if the officials call for the chains. Looks like they will.
That's head linesman Johnny Crawford coming right down the line. A nice job there by the outside linebacker Hayden Henry, the former walk-on. He sets the whole edge, and I think that is a good spot, just short of the 46-yard line.
Six inches short.
Got the best punter in college football. You've also drawn this team offsides 3 different occasions. I think at a minimum you've got to go out there and at least attempt that. I mean, they've shown an undisciplined nature as it is. A QB that loves to run the ball. You outweigh them up front.
Well, the Aggie fans love it when they see the offense back on the field on 4th down and 6 inches. It is on Texas A&M's own side of the 50-yard line with a 10-point lead. And as you said, Brock, a punter in Braden Mann that set an NCAA record last week, averaging close to 61 yards per kick against Alabama, and already has a 65-yarder in this game. Will Texas A&M snap the ball on 4th down and less than a foot? They will, and Mond pushes the pile, and it looks like he's got a first down.
You've got a quarterback that is adept at running the ball anyway, and then your best offensive lineman, we've not called Eric McCoy's name, but he is their best, most talented offensive lineman up front. I think that's the right call.
He's the junior center, and Mond got right in his hip pocket and picked up the first down.
He's a good one, and what an advantage it has to come into a program and have that voice. You search for quarterbacks, you also search for voices in the middle of your line, and his is growing.
Play action now for Mond. Wide open Sternberger down the sideline. Knocks a player's helmet off, and Santos Ramirez, they go nose to nose all the way down to the 26-yard line, a gain of 27.
So 5 straight runs, you know what's coming. And Santos has to come out because the helmet comes off. You know what's coming. This is what's coming. You can see all the movement there defensively. Not a perfectly thrown pass. It's nice to have a tight end. It's got a good catching radius, and then even more so an ability to catch and run.
Trayveon Williams breaks a tackle, gets a block to the 22.
He's just patient, isn't he? You see a lot of programs use a lot of running backs. I said to Jimbo yesterday, do you even play another running back? Is anybody else? You got a bunch of them. You've got 4 true freshmen, in fact, on your travel squad. But I think when you've got someone as trustworthy as Trayveon, who loves to pass protect, who can catch the ball, Jay Graham, the running back coach, just, I think, loves the dependability that the veteran brings.
He was a 1,000-yard rusher as a freshman. 733 yards last season. Play action fake for Mond. A little head fake. Play maybe coming back, though, as a flag was thrown at the line of scrimmage on the run by Mond.
Holding. Previous spot. We're going to the previous.
That's a little preview of the call there. I'm not sure if you could hear the referee's microphone turned on, but it is holding against Texas A&M.
And Jimbo's yelling, why? Why?
Offense, number 81. 10-yard penalty for the previous spot. Second down.
And that is the first recruit for Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M. Chase Sternberger, the tight end, called for the penalty.
Yeah, and it's right out in front of everybody, and you're trying to block and then get out. Now, Michael Taylor also has him, but it's unfortunately the second guy that's usually going to get the call. So the defensive end, he's got a sense in the field in Taylor of what was coming. So he gave a little tug, and then unfortunately, Chase gave a little bigger tug of the uniform, and that's the penalty and the spot foul.
Play clock down to 4 as Mond has his team set. Little run pass option. He'll run it, and that turned out to not necessarily be a great option as he took a shot from Santos Ramirez.
That's a pretty good tackle from Ramirez, who's made a lot of them here at Arkansas. He's really changed from where he was a little undisciplined early in his career. He's become a captain. He gets his head out of the way, his eyes up, and you wrap with that shoulder. That's about his textbook. You know, the NFL's having some challenges on how to tackle a quarterback, and they're sending videos out. If you want to send a video of how to textbook tackle in college football, to use your shoulder and get your head out of a tackle, that's a pretty good example.
3rd down and 13. Another big play for the Arkansas defense. This would be a long field goal attempt for Texas A&M, and sensing how important this play is, Jimbo Fisher calls timeout, and we'll step aside as well for just a moment.
It's so easy to watch games now on your favorite ESPN networks using Xfinity X1. Show me college football.
We return with our Aflac trivia question. Aflac! Brutal start to the season schedule-wise for Texas A&M, playing number 1 and number 2 within their first 4 games of the season, which was the last Power 5 team to have to do that. And how did they do? I'll give you a hint. I don't think they did much better than Texas A&M did.
But if you get this, you are a college football savant.
If you get this, you've got a little bit of a problem. Well, you know way too much. 3rd down and 13. Right on the cusp of field goal range for the true freshman Seth Small. Can Arkansas get a stop? They bring a blitz. It's picked up. Mond throws an interception. Dre Greenlaw picks it off. His second of the first half.
There were 2 things you could not do if you're Kellen Mond before that play. You could not take a sack and knock yourself out of field goal range, and you could not turn the ball over. And you see the feet there. Once his feet move, he loses his eyes. He loses, and you're right, there was a funky little blitz there. John Chavis, he knows A&M pretty well. He coordinated the defense there a season ago, and he brings just a little new look there on 3rd down, and Mond just does not respond. That's 2 giveaways in the first half. Arkansas has to take advantage.
Storey wanted to set up a screen. Now he's got to run for his life and gets thrown down by Matabike. Well done by the A&M defense. They stayed home and sniffed out the screen. And Brock, just before the Greenlaw pick, just before I called it, I was thinking in my head, this is the first time it looks like I've seen just a little bit of pressure, even if it's token pressure, into the eyesight of Kellen Mond. And what does that token pressure create? Just didn't see Dre Greenlaw, and he throws a pick.
There's no question. And now Arkansas will get the ball to begin the second half. And more than anything right now, you are just simply looking for a first down, to not give the ball back to A&M.
Jet sweep. Jordan Jones. Nothing there. Now you wonder if Jimbo Fisher might call a timeout. Down to 2:37 to go. He's got a couple left. He could preserve time here for his offense now that they've got 3rd down and 16. And he's going to let the clock run. And if you're Arkansas, I would think you would let the clock run as well, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, and I think he knows that Arkansas's punters have struggled all season long, one of the lowest net punting teams in all of college football. And to keep a couple of those timeouts in his back pocket, he will have enough time if they get this stop here.
Blitz. Screen pass. Caught by Rakeem Boyd. And he is brought down inbounds with 1:58 to go. And now a timeout will be used by Texas A&M. So they'll be down to 1 remaining.
That was tremendous effort from Malaka once again. These linebackers fly around, man. Times maybe in coverage, not their strength, but anything sideline to sideline, or when 42 can sniff it out, that is a run and hit missile.
We'll step aside for a moment. Come right back to Dallas. Time to answer the Aflac trivia question. Texas A&M played number 1 and number 2 within their first 4 games of the season. The last Power 5 team to do that. And the always disturbed Brock Huard knew, of course, that it was Michigan State back in 1989. Starting off early with Notre Dame and Miami and lost both.
I was in my living room with Big Brother and Dad watching those games.
And charting
who to play
who and yes, the rankings and whatnot. Let's see where field position sets up for Texas A&M after the Bauer punt. Another good-looking kick. Rashad Paul driven back inside his 30. Just about gets lassoed down, breaks a tackle, and gets walloped after breaking a couple of tackles to the 26-yard line. A 50-yard punt by the true freshman, Reed Bowers. We go back to admin.
All right, Bob, thank you. Coming up on the Lexus halftime report, the freshman phenom Trevor Lawrence getting the start for Clemson, but injured. An update on what's happening against Syracuse, plus an update on a couple of Heisman contenders, Will Grier and Tua Tagovailoa, and we'll look forward to what's happening in Happy Valley tonight. Going to be a blast, Bob. Back to you and Brock.
All right, Adnan, thanks very much. How often have we seen this season quarterbacks transfer, and after they transfer, the landscape that they left behind turns out to be a lot different than they thought when they walked out of the school when they didn't get the job? Interesting. Trayveon Williams brought down in the field of play at the 31 by Santos Ramirez, so that will roll the clock for Texas A&M. They only have 1 timeout left.
I'll tell you what else is interesting in that last punt. You see Dijon Harris there, that senior that was on that punt coverage team. He's the first one flying down. Senior tight end Cantrell, he finished off that tackle. They've been good in their punt coverage units today.
First down catch. Hezekiah Jones, and he gets out of bounds.
If you're Mond here, you got to be a little bit more precise. I think this is a game, when you're the quarterback and you just feel like your team is just dominating it, right? Your defense been suffocating other than a couple plays where I think it was more confusion than execution, but you got to be sharp and do your job.
Pitch and catch. Hezekiah Jones out of bounds again. 9 more. Preserves time. 1:11 to go. And Texas A&M still with that one very valuable timeout.
You see the freshman kicker who's been perfect on the season, and Kellen Mond has played against this defense. And John Chavis, he knows he will give you completions. He also knows when they get to that 5-man front, you better start expecting a little pressure and man-to-man coverage coming.
Only a 4-man rush here. Good clean pocket again for Kellen Mond. And again, he finds Hezekiah Jones. That picks up the first down, so that'll stop the clock at least for the moment. 10 more yards to the Arkansas 43. Now the clock rolls. Blitz. Mond steps up. Sternberger, another catch, another first down. Forward progress stop at the 29-yard line. That's 13 more.
That was a nice job there. You see the difference on that interception where he just kind of loses composure with a little pressure, and that time Mond steps right up, and he never loses his body posture. He never loses his eyes, and he throws one right on the money to his security blanket, his tight end.
Mond, he's taking a shot towards Hezekiah Jones. And Jones is walled off by the true freshman, Jarquez McClellion.
You got that tight end, that timeout in your back pocket here. Not every throw has got to get down into the end zone at this point with 25 seconds. can continue to utilize, I think, the entire field here with that timeout. But you also know you've got to remind your guys, if it's caught in front of that first down marker, they have a real sense of urgency.
Well, Jimbo Fisher told us he would be comfortable with Seth Small from anywhere 55, even 56 yards. You can see they're well within field goal range now. Mond. Long throw to the sideline, looking for his favorite target on this drive. Jones, incomplete.
Kevin Richardson all over that, the veteran. We're not seeing a lot this year for Arkansas, getting back on the field. I think you see the game plan here on this drive by John Chavis, defensive coordinator, was not going to give up the big play, keep everything in front of him.
How about Mond? As this is the exact situation he was in a short time ago, in field goal range, facing third down and long.
Take care of the ball and no sacks.
There goes Trayveon Williams. Close to a first down. Dijon Harris made the stop. Clock down to 10 seconds to go. And they may just let this wind down and call a timeout. Although, what Jimbo Fisher wants to know is, if that's a first down, the clock should have stopped. He wants some time put back on the clock, because if that is a first down, the clock should have stopped probably 6 or so seconds ago.
Jimbo on the field, we running down the first down marker right there. He's screaming.
But he's got a point.
Yes.
He has a point, because if this is a first down, they should put time back on the clock. And now he wants to call timeout. So the clock should stop at the end of the play if this is a first down. Well, you can see the clock on the left.
Operator, please reset the game clock to 5 seconds. 5 seconds on the game clock. Thank you.
Should have stopped with about 15 on the clock. Theoretically, maybe 13 or so, but it continued to wind.
Yeah, I think that is if that linesman deems that it was a first down. I think as he's running in to spot the ball, he does not know that at that point.
Sure.
He's got to make that judgment as well. And as he's seeing that and he's running down the line, Jimbo thought it was. He thought it should have been stopped, and that's what this conversation's about. But that linesman's got to run up to the spot and see where it's at and whether it is indeed a first down, as he ultimately then judged.
Now, if I'm reading lips, I think I just saw Jimbo Fisher say 25. He's not getting 25 seconds.
But you never, in a negotiation, you never start low.
Start high.
Yes.
And see if you can kind of meet in the middle.
That's right.
Somewhere and get it back to about 15.
I think there was 55. No, not 55. 25? Nope. Not 25 either. How about 10?
Now, even if they added some time back on the clock, do you want Kellen Mond tossing one in the end zone from, say, 25 yards out or so? Would it be wise to just take the 3 points and go to the locker room?
I think that last call answers your question, right? I think that last call of running that draw play speaks to some of that.
So here is Seth Small from 36 yards out to try and make it a 13-point lead at halftime. And he missed. And that's not only a break for Arkansas that he missed. Chad Morris, the head coach for the Razorbacks, was standing right alongside an official, and he was trying to call a timeout and didn't get it granted. He wanted to call the let's ice the kicker before halftime timeout and make the true freshman think about it a little bit longer. Looked like the timeout didn't get granted, and as a result, he gets the missed field goal after all.
And as a result, it's a 10-point game with 2 empty trips down into that red zone area with a pick and a missed field goal.
I thought I saw him try to call timeout right before the snap. He did, and they didn't give it to him. And he missed anyway. Arkansas will start the third quarter with the football down by 10. 17-7 A&M at the break. Time for the halftime report. Back to Adnan.
All right, Bob, thank you very much.
Welcome back to college football, presented by Xfinity. And welcome back to the SEC on ESPN. just about set for the start of the second half of the Southwest Classic between Arkansas and Texas A&M. We've got a 10-point game. Very surprisingly, Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewart, Allison Williams will join us in just a moment. 10-point game. Statistically, though, you would think Texas A&M might be up by 3 or 4 scores. Where have they fallen short?
Yeah, for A&M, it's just their inability to score touchdowns in the red zone and 2 takeaways. Those are always the big equalizer. When you turn the ball over, and for Arkansas, you take it away, well, you limit these stats that are overwhelming. 15 first downs by A&M to 3 from Arkansas. The Razorbacks have a receiver with 1 catch for -2 yards. That's it. I mean, they basically have had 2 plays in the first half offensively, yet find themselves getting the ball here to begin the second half and down just 10.
Yeah, Cheyenne O'Grady, the tight end, he's got 53 yards receiving. All of the other receivers combined are 20% of that.
Yep.
So he basically made those 2 plays on 1 drive, and a couple of those takeaways, throws by Kellen Mond, I'm sure he'd like to have back, and this would be a lopsided A&M game. Let's see what the second half has in store for us, as Arkansas won the toss and deferred. So they start the third quarter with the football at their own 25-yard line.
And you take a look at the miscues. The first one is just really hard to understand. 2 picks a week ago in Alabama, you get that. This is a little 6-yard out route. You're just staring it down and allowing Gray to get underneath it for the interception. This one of the rare occasions that he had to move off of his spot, and he does so, and once again he loses sight down the field, and the first missed field goal of the season for Seth Small, the true freshman right there. And because of it, you're sitting here at 17-7, and Chad Morris went in that halftime awfully excited, and that guy Jimbo Fisher said, we have got to have a sense of urgency.
Play action for Ty Storey and a drop for Austin Cantrell, or they might have had another chunk play to a tight end as we check in with Allison.
Hey there, Bob. I chatted with Chad Morris at the half, and he was really proud of how his guys continued to fight despite a really difficult start for Arkansas. They were down 14-0 early, but the guys continued to battle. He said, we just used the half to make some adjustments, keep things positive. He said, we have to get things going offensively. We got to find a way to pick up first downs, hit some shots in that intermediate passing game, and try and really loosen things up offensively.
And the question is, how do you do that? How do you create enough time for your quarterback and some separation for those receivers? Here's a lane for Rakeem Boyd. Down the sideline with some speed. Well, the run game might loosen things up as Rakeem Boyd is to midfield before he steps out of bounds.
And that was just a little bit of a lazy line stunt here from A&M. Sense of urgency isn't just on offense, it's defensively. And that line stunt that you stunt yourself out of the play. And there you see the speed outrunning the angle there of the safety Tucker. And it's been the big play. That's it. That's the third big play from Arkansas offensively, and that has been the only way they've been able to move the ball.
Boyd again for 2 yards this time.
And I think in these 30 minutes, you've got to see Ty Storey more involved in the run game. You saw the touchdown run from the backup. They bring in big Cole Kelley, the Wildcat quarterback. But for me, Ty Storey is going to struggle to throw it down the field and do some of those things that Chad told Allison they want to do, but he can run the ball. He is a tough customer, and he's going to have to make some hard yards in the second half with his legs.
Boyd to the 45-yard line. Well, that was what jumped out to me when we talked to Chad Morris, talked to Joe Craddock, the offensive coordinator, that last week Ty Storey in that Auburn game, and you talked about it when you watched it on film, there was a reason that he got tremendous respect from his teammates because he took wallop after wallop last week at the hands of Auburn. Set to throw here, pitch and catch on the slant, Jared Cornelius.
There you go. There's a wide receiver making positive yards, and that's what you can do at 3rd and 4. Right, you can live in those situations and run those very conservative little in routes, and a well-timed by Jared Cornelius there. Slant route, getting that inside leverage and providing his quarterback the opportunity to move the chains.
The first positive yards of the game for an Arkansas wide receiver. Low throw, scooped up, Deion Stewart. He's got 6 yards to the 28.
That was a sinker. And these are some of the challenges in the passing game that in the years to come, they're going to be able to pitch and catch a little better. And Ty knew it. The minute that left his hand, that thing was sinking to the ground.
Chase Hayden. And this will bring up a big 3rd down. He gets a yard. Justin Matabike drove him back once he got to the 27. So it will be 3rd down and 3 on this all-important first possession of the second half. It's Rakeem Boyd back in. He's the running back to the left of Storey in the shotgun. It's a blitz from A&M. Storey under pressure. Goes down at the 30-yard line. So now it's 4th down and 6.
And you knew Mike Elko was not going to sit back. He set a little zone coverage earlier. He was going to bring the heat on Chad Morris and that offensive group, and they bring 6. They play man-to-man outside. And there's really nowhere for Ty to go with the ball. He's trying to save enough real estate to at least attempt this field goal.
So here's Connor Limpert, 6 for 9 so far on the season. His career long's 54, so this one from 47. Well inside his range. And he's got it. It's a 1-score game. Points to start off the 3rd quarter for the Razorbacks. Let's take a look at today's unexpected outcome, brought to you by ExxonMobil. And we've got a touchdown game in the 3rd quarter. Talk about unexpected outcomes. How about all the overtime games these two teams have played? 3 out of the last 4 meetings, in 2014 and 2015. And we were here last year when Christian Kirk caught a 10-yard touchdown score in overtime for Texas A&M to survive. Now, Brock, you look historically at this rivalry, and certainly recent history, the games so often go right down to the end of the 4th quarter, if not into overtime.
And statistically speaking, I mean, before that drive, you would not have imagined in any way that this game would have been 17-7.5.
A little pooch kickoff. And it seems like Arkansas willing to give up some field position out to the 33-yard line. And tonight on ABC, it will be a whiteout in Happy Valley, a top 10 matchup. Ohio State, Penn State, 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central on ABC, and live on the ESPN app. So you can watch anywhere. Brock, your thoughts?
Well, there's just a fun factor every once in a while. And the fun factor in that building with 109,000 people speaks for itself. And then it's time, it's McSorley, Trace McSorley. You know, we got a chance to see him as a young player, and you could just see there was something different about him. Not a plus size, not a plus arm, not a plus anything for the NFL guys, but just plus winner. And he has really elevated that program for James Franklin. I can't wait to watch him play tonight.
Trayveon Williams out to about the 35-yard line for 3 yards. It'll be a pinball machine potentially tonight, Allison, in Happy Valley.
Yeah, it's going to be quite the scene there. The whiteout conditions. It always is an electric place to watch a football game. And imagine being from Denmark, and the first time you see real American college football is an Ohio State-Penn State game. Well, that was the case for Arkansas lineman Hjalte Froholt. He went to the game there in 2012. He grew up in Denmark, came to Ohio as an exchange student. He said he walked into that stadium and was in awe. He said it was scary but awesome, and that was the first time he saw a big-time college football game.
To the 40-yard line, maybe the 41 for Hezekiah Jones, and there is Hjalte Froholt over on the sideline. That is kind of a, wow, this is what college football is always like? Yeah. If that's your first ever game, must have been a lot of games since that Hjalte Froholt has seen that didn't quite match up to an Ohio State, Penn State whiteout. 3rd down and 1.
Some soccer environments over there in Europe that look and feel and sound an awfully lot like that.
No question.
It's an awfully big play here to begin the second half.
They'll run it with Williams, and he will pick up the first down. That puts him over 100 yards. Randy Ramsey made the stop. Trayveon Williams coming into today, averaging 107.5 yards per game, 3rd best in the SEC. Already his 3rd 100-yard performance of this season, as he's up to 101 in this game, and still got 9.5 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter.
Myles Gaskin at UW we saw a week ago, he just does not come off the field.
False start.
False start. Offense, number 78. 5-yard penalty. First down.
It's one of the veterans of the group, the big right guard, Keaton Sutherland there, 78. I'm going to imagine he was going to pull on this play. It's usually what happens. And watch for the depth of these offensive linemen, too. It's one of the little tells that you can see. Sometimes hard for defenders to see, but when they're a little bit deeper on the line of scrimmage, not only that little twitch beforehand, but oftentimes, again, look at the depth of the alignment there, about a yard deeper. Sometimes that's a good tell of a pulling action.
Quarterback run for Kellen Mond. It'll be second down and 13. Jashaun Harris with the tackle.
This is one of those games, if you're playing on the A&M side, and it's why Jimbo was so assertive with Allison going off the field of, hey, we need a sense of urgency. All right, these rivalry games, they've all been, you just said it, and we just showed it. So many of them have gone down to the wire. You got to go. Like you take the opening kickoff, and it's easy, and you drive right down the field, and it's easy, and you're up 14, and sometimes you just almost psychologically step off the gas. And if there was anything Jimbo spent the most time with us yesterday, was talking about trying to teach football to these guys and teach those situations.
Mond under pressure. They'll be sacked. Armon Watts got him. Now it's third down and a mile.
And when you got some SEC dudes on this defensive line, and Ramsey and Watts and Smith and Hakeem, I mean, these are four-star guys. There's some heavy recruits, and you've got enough talent there, and a nice job. You see just the push. You referenced the pocket in the first half, how easy it was. Remember all that space in the air? He started to get suffocated on that one, and now an awfully long third down.
Armon Watts barely played under Brett Bielema. 3 games in the last 2 years. Considered transferring. Well, that sack, already his 4th this season. Under Chad Morris, forces third down at 16. Flags fly. Did the play clock get all the way to 0? It did.
Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains third down.
And that lackadaisical aura right now around the Texas A&M offense continues. If you're Jimbo Fisher, is this just a matter of getting into your guys on the sideline, or can you call plays that could almost jolt your offense a bit?
Well, Allison referenced Chad Morris in that first half. Enough's enough. Ty Clary and the rest of those guys, and I won't be surprised at all, depending on the outcome of this play, if you feel a little bit of that West Virginia rage, some of that blood that pumps through Jimbo awfully hot, if you feel some of that after this possession.
And they're going to play to punt as Trayveon Williams buys some real estate for the punt group out to about the 43-yard line. But as this offense heads over to the sideline, not sure if they're going to be met by a very happy head coach.
That's that play clock. Like, you just can't, on a 3rd and 13 with a 3-man rush, that was not a blitz look. There was nothing there to take that amount of time on that previous third down.
Again, Braden Mann might be the best punter in America. And he launches another. Deion Stewart inside his own 10-yard line makes a fair catch at about the 7.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by eBay. If it's happening on game day, it's happening on eBay. Get all your favorite College Station gear for the best price with free shipping on eBay. Fill your cart with color.
Well, back in 1964, Jerry Jones was an all-Southwest Conference offensive lineman and a co-captain for the Razorbacks national championship team under Frank Broyles. And he's sitting next to his son Steven here in the palace that he has built in Dallas. The Cowboys owner, president, and general manager, and his grandson John Stephen Jones down on the sideline, a true freshman quarterback for the Razorbacks. So it is a family tradition playing Arkansas football for the Jones family. And right now the Razorbacks, their worst field position of the game. And it gets even worse. Ty Storey goes down inside the 3. Kingsley Kiki collapsed the pocket.
You know, you asked me there before going to break, is there something a coach can do? Is there a call to maybe jolt a sense of urgency? That's a whole lot easier on the defensive side of the ball. And it's these guys, the front 4 that dominated the first quarter of this game. Mack and Buckley, and that time obviously Kiki, just the BK were just the difference makers. And they set the tone right there, moving Kiki to the inside. I like it.
5 sacks for A&M. Across his body, Ty Storey flips one out across the 10-yard line. And boy, is that a welcome catch for LaMichael Petway as they get just a little bit of breathing room. Still brings up a big 3rd down, but now you're not playing under your goalpost.
And that throw takes some guts. My BK, the nickelback Caper Smith is blitzing both those guys right in his face as he flings it across his body.
False start. Tyree Johnson jumped, and Colton Jackson backed up.
False start. Offense number 74. 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
That's a left tackle, Jackson, and it's loud in this end zone. The A&M faithful and student body. And you're going to see he's just trying. He knows the importance. Having some space for his quarterback, but look at that. He's adding some juice right now.
3rd down and 10. Quarterback run. 3 yards for Ty Storey. And here comes the punt group for Arkansas.
We talk about hidden yards that you don't always see on a stat sheet. You see some bruises. I was looking at Ty pregame. You see that big welt from a week ago down at Auburn. He's taken a beating. But this area has been so problematic. They've covered well today. More seniors have been involved in this punt cover group. But a beautiful job on the other side of pinning Arkansas deep. And they've got to do their best to flip the field.
Reed Bauer. And Rashad Paul calls for a fair catch. He gets bumped into. And the flag comes out. 43-yard punt. But if this is kick-catch interference, if they bumped into a player after calling for a fair catch, then that'll be a big flip of field position.
And that's the right call. He was not blocked into the returner. He's got to do all he can to get out of the way.
There's no foul on the play for kick-catch interference. 1st down.
Not sure why they picked up the flag, but that's a big break for Arkansas. 17-10. A&M's got the lead.
Dear Baker, if there's one thing you already know, one thing everybody already knows, you and I are not the same person.
I want to see that. That'll be interesting. Hearing what former Browns quarterback Johnny Manziel has to say to Baker Mayfield as he makes his first career start on Sunday. It's all part of Sunday NFL Countdown at 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN, as you'll get your NFL Sunday started tomorrow with Samantha Ponder and the rest of the group. Here's Kellen Mond, a little fake towards the line, and now he goes down. Held the ball forever and paid the price with the sack. Back close to his own 35-yard line. McTelvin, Agim, Dijon Harris were both there.
Well, you've asked me now a couple different times. Is there a jolt? Is there something that you can do as a play caller here to get your team going? And you're trying to run the deep play action. But where are you throwing it? I mean, there is nobody. And give Arkansas a whole lot of credit for their discipline.
We've got an injured Razorback down inside the 15-yard line. One of those DBs that was running the deep middle to try and cover those downfield passing routes from Texas A&M.
There's your shot play, right? I mean, there it is. That between the 40s, it's a #1 shot zone for most play callers. But give Arkansas credit. They are hanging tough.
I'm Adnan Burke back in our college football studios, updating you on Syracuse and Clemson over on ABC. Trevor Lawrence is out of the game. Trace Bryce's replacement intercepted by Trayveon Williams. Cuse right now up 16-7. Bob, back to you, Brock and Allison.
All right, Adnan, thanks very much. As Jarquez McClellion, one of the few corners on the depth chart for Arkansas heads to the sideline. He was the player that was shaken up. What do you think Kelly Bryant's thinking watching that game right now?
Wow.
After the sack, 2nd down and 19. Jimbo Fisher said that Kellen Mond checks about 70% of the plays at the line for A&M. Looked like he checked one there. Long throw to the sideline, knocked away. Ryan Pulley was there in coverage on Kendrick Rogers. And now it's 3rd down.
Bob, knowing that the strength of this Arkansas defense is their front, Jimbo Fisher told me before the game they have to win at the line of scrimmage. And in the second half, they're not. He was really getting after his offensive line. So was Coach Turner. And basically telling those big guys, you're the better team, but you're not playing like it right now. You have to wake up. One other note for their offense, guys. Number 2, their leading receiver, Jashaun Corbin, remains in the locker room with a leg injury.
Here's 3rd down without Osborne on the field. Mond throws it underneath to Trayveon Williams, and Williams is hit from behind. He goes down at midfield, and you can certainly understand where Jimbo Fisher Brock is coming from. This is an Arkansas team that lost last week to Auburn 34-3. The 2 weeks before that, they lost to Colorado State week 2 and got drilled by North Texas 44-17. Now, A&M's got a couple of losses, but that was to Clemson in a close one and at Alabama.
There's no question. Now, Trayveon does have over 100 yards rushing, but when you take a shot play and you take a 9-yard sack, it makes those drives really difficult.
Boy, one of the few times that man tries to kick it short, and is he a master or what? Even his punts that don't look like missiles through the air end up doing exactly what they're supposed to do. As we've got an altercation after the punt was over, as the ball rolled all the way down, somehow hugging the sideline inside the 2-yard line. It's a 48-yard punt as Braden Mann does it again. And Jimbo Fisher wants his team to calm down.
And that's how you express it? He is in the face of Tyrell Dotson, his linebacker right there. And I think there's a little bit of frustration. I know there is with Jimbo in that first half of just the control they had in this game. And you throw a pick in the red zone, you miss a field goal in the red zone, and all of a sudden you let Arkansas hang around, and some of those defenders that they've got that are starting to play and starting to rush and impact the quarterback, and you got a 1-possession game. 2 minutes to go before the 4th quarter.
Right now for Texas A&M, you'd have to say Braden Mann, the punter, is the MVP, as twice he has put Arkansas inside their 10-yard line to start off the second half here. They'll run it with Rakeem Boyd. Just a little bit of breathing room out to about the 4-yard line. Derek Tucker came up to make the stop for A&M.
And at some point, you're going to have to make a throw to the perimeter. I mean, you just cannot play for 60 minutes without pushing the ball outside on the perimeter. A go route, a hitch and go, a slant and go. There has got to be something that stretches this field both vertically and horizontally.
Lost ball on the snap. It's picked up by Storey, and he heaves one down the sideline. Incomplete, as Michael Woods was the intended receiver, as the snap came out as a ground ball from Ty Clary. And Storey did well just to find the loose ball and maintain his composure.
Yeah, and that's not an easy job for Mr. Ty. He is a former walk-on. He's been a guard. He played center first start a week ago. And oh, by the way, I got Dalen Mack, this monster in front of me, that if I lose leverage off the snap, I got no shot.
Storey from the end zone. Pretty well protected this time, and he fires a strike to the true freshman, Michael Woods. What a big 3rd down throw from Ty Storey as he squeezed one to the sideline and picks up 22.
And there it is. There's your shot to the outside of the perimeter. You can see, I mean, they're just not even respecting it. The coverage there by Charles Oliver. He's got cloud coverage. He doesn't even put a hand on Woods. It's not even thrown out that way. Tremendous pitch and catch from the freshman.
Rakeem Boyd lost a yard.
And if for nothing else, just the opportunity to flip the field and field position with your punt game instead of being once again on that end line of the goal line. And it takes a little effort from Storey. You can see that. He's not the most natural of passers, but he's more than capable.
Final minute of the third quarter. Quarterback draw. Ty Storey moves the pile out to the 28-yard line, and you can stream college football all season long on ESPN Plus. So start your free trial today by downloading the ESPN app or visiting ESPNplus.com.
Those are the hard yards, man. You're 200-something-pound quarterback, and you're running between all those tackles. As you see, Big Dalen Mack, we talked a bunch about him today. Or excuse me, that's not Mack. That's the other true freshman that looks like him. That's Bobby Brown. They call Trey. And how that guy is a true freshman and played high school football last year? No thanks.
He was number 243 in our ESPN 300, so another top recruit.
He's got Dalen's old number.
A&M.
Yeah, he got Dalen's old number he wore the last 3 years. And it looks like he's got a little bit of a sore neck. But it takes some serious guts. It takes some serious resolve as a quarterback. If you're going to run these quarterback powers and run these plays between the tackle, there's nothing going to be easy about it. You're going to get bruises. You're going to wake up tomorrow. Your neck is going to hurt. Shoulder's going to hurt. I remember talking to Tim Tebow about it. I remember even asking him, like, do you enjoy all that QB run? You know, he's 240 pounds, but even he would tell you it took a toll on the SEC when you're running between the tackles.
Looks like Arkansas is just going to let the clock wind all the way down. I thought it was great when Joe Craddock, the offensive coordinator for Arkansas, made the point that John Chavis, the defensive coordinator, went and sought out Ty Storey this past week after the pounding he took last week at Auburn. He said, if you think all of your defensive teammates don't appreciate that, think again. A lot of respect for Ty Storey in that Arkansas locker room as we head to the fourth quarter with A&M on top by 7.
A playoff statement awaits. Ohio State, Penn State, tonight at 7:30 Eastern on ABC. Who's in?
Welcome back to Dallas. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewert, Allison Williams, and the rest of our crew here at AT&T Stadium. We start the fourth quarter with Arkansas statistically having no right to be in this game, and yet they've got the ball down by 7, facing a big 3rd and 6. Ty Storey on the slant, low, intended for Jared Cornelius. And there's a flag down on the near side. And Cornelius is hurt. He was injured in this game last year.
Illegal formation against the offense. Number 60 was not on the line of scrimmage. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
That's the right tackle, Brian Wallace, and they'll give you a little wiggle room, but they're not going to give you that much room.
Jared Cornelius last season in this game popped his Achilles as he tried to get started running a pass route. This is 1 year ago, and he just went down. And he was lost for the rest of the season. It was a long rehab. He's back this season. Playing here in Dallas just doesn't agree with Jared Cornelius. Hopefully this injury not nearly as serious. We'll see if he can get back in the game. Reed Bauer forces a fair catch from Paul inside his own 30-yard line. Early fourth quarter, A&M with the football, a 7-point lead.
The ESPN app now with ESPN Plus. Get more ESPN and download now.
We're back with a look at this week's college football rankings, brought to you by Goodyear and the game to keep your eye on, Clemson. They are trailing Syracuse. And finally, Sean McDonough and Todd Blackledge getting a close one. Most of the games later on this afternoon and tonight involving the top 10. Of course, Alabama not having a big problem with Louisiana. Trayveon Williams into a pile-up. Gain of a half-yard.
Enjoyed our conversation with Jimbo Fisher yesterday, and I liked him talking about teaching just winning football in those situations in a game, and they've had a few of them against Clemson and Alabama where you just have to take control. And I would say right now to Jimbo, this is time where your fullbacks, your tight ends, you run and you play action. To me, that's what this group does best. Not playing from the pocket necessarily, but lots of that good movement in the run game and the play action. That's where the ball has moved the most consistently. And if you're teaching winning football, this is the kind of drive where you can have an awfully big say in it.
Arkansas has 6 first downs, and yet they're only down by 7. Mond loops one to the sideline, and no one's home. Breaking off his route was Kendrick Rogers, so that's a miscommunication between quarterback and wide receiver. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewart, Allison Williams, 1 minute gone by in the fourth quarter. That has been a totally different story so far this season for Arkansas and Texas A&M. Only one score separates these two teams of the Southwest Classic, and it's 3rd down and 9. And they just called intentional grounding.
There was no one in the area of the pass. Loss of down, from the pass. 3rd down.
I disagree with that call.
Well, you're in the pocket, so you're between the tackles, and your receiver runs an out route, and you throw the go route, and there's no one within 25 yards.
But intentional grounding is intended when you are trying to avoid a sack.
Yep.
He is in no danger of being sacked there. That's just a miscommunication between he and his wide receiver. You agree with that call?
By letter of the rule, I do. By letter of the rule, you're between the tackle box, and you can't have that miscommunication.
So that is now a loss with 5 on the play clock, back inside the 25-yard line, 3rd and 14. Mond, this time he's under pressure. Flag thrown as he checks it down to Kwame Etwe, and they'll say it's incomplete. And we'll have to check the penalty marker.
Personal foul. Hands to the face. Defense, number 10. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
That is a killer penalty for Arkansas.
Yep, and it's
That's like a turnover.
You talk about winning football and non-winning football, and you put up that fourth quarter right there of hurting yourself, and that's Randy Ramsey, and he's against the left tackle, Dan Moore, and this is obvious. He's going to get his hands right into the chin of the left tackle, and he's not going to get him off. And once you see that head jerk back and you see the hands, you've got to get your hands down.
On 3rd and 14. It doesn't go down in the stat sheet as a turnover. That has the force and effect of a turnover. As Trayveon Williams through the line for close to 10 yards. 9.5, 2nd down and short.
And if I'm these big offensive linemen and I got an earful from Jimbo, I would have, before this play, and Eric McCoy, before this drive, said, then give us a chance. At 313 pounds, give us a chance consistently to set the tempo and run right at these guys.
Mond, high snap, pulls it back down, and does the work himself for a first down. Picks up 9. Bob Wischusen and Brock Ewart, Allison Williams here in Dallas. Later on tonight, Saturday Night Football in Happy Valley, the whiteout between Ohio State and Penn State at 7:30 Eastern on ABC. There won't be an atmosphere better in all of college football this season than they'll have tonight at Beaver Stadium. Trayveon Williams into the secondary again. Gets walloped at about the 29 and goes down there, but he picked up 15. Wow. Santos Ramirez made him pay the price. Trayveon Williams is having himself a day.
Yeah, and big boy Eric McCoy, the best lineman, he just said enough's enough. I mean, he just mauled at the point of attack in the line of scrimmage, allowing that lane to develop. Wow.
135 yards on the ground for Williams. Wide receiver hitch. Camron Buckley gets a block. He gets inside the 25.
Just look at that one call. I mean,
That's it.
Look at winning football. And you know, the intentional grounding, you didn't like it. I understand it and what the intent of that rule was.
I still think that's a bad call.
Then you come right back. And winning football sometimes is taking advantage of what the other team does. You know, forcing them into that mistake. And for Randy Ramsey, a senior, just to not get his hand away from the headgear. Just totally change the complexion of this fourth quarter right now.
Mond out to the edge again to Buckley. Breaks a tackle. Stutter steps for a first down. He's got football in the blood, does Camron Buckley. His uncle is Jesse Armstead. Jesse Armstead and his dad, part of that Dallas Carter championship team back in '88.
Now this is not a block in the back right there. I mean, he is just in his back. And you can hear the faithful here from Arkansas. Like that's in plain view of everybody.
Trayveon Williams is met behind the line. Selling out to stop the run was Jashaun Harris.
This has been a challenge area now. Interception, missed field goal. This is not just a gimme situation. This is not, if you're Kellen Mond or Trayvon or any of those guys up front, where you take a breather. This is actually where Arkansas has made this a game, situational football down in the red zone. As Jim Turner, O-line coach, is looking at that big screen.
Williams back to about the original line of scrimmage, picked up a yard and a half. John Harris made the stop, so in a 7-point game, a lot of time still on the clock. How important is this play? Third down inside the red zone, third down and at least 9.
For an Arkansas offense on the sidelines is watching, it has 6 first downs through 50 minutes of action. Pretty big play.
The Razorbacks can't afford to allow more than a field goal on this drive. Fall down by 2 touchdowns again when you've got 6 first downs. That might be too deep a hole to dig out of. Quarterback run for Kellen Mond. He's going nowhere. Oh, did he get popped right at the line? Again, Jashaun Harris comes through to make the stop.
That's big time. And he comes underneath the block of the right tackle, Carson Green. That's one on the whiteboard that you like an awful lot if you're A&M. If you're Jim Turner, right tackle's got to come down and block the linebacker. Not so fast, my friend, as Lee Corso would say. Jashaun comes underneath that block and unloads.
Seth Small from 33. Hit the upright. He was perfect coming into this afternoon's game at 5 of 5. He's now 1 for 3 today, and we still have a 7-point lead only for Texas A&M. Hard to believe.
Yeah, not in this rivalry. Nothing is hard to figure, or nothing is hard to believe.
ESPN College Football is presented by Xfinity, now with ESPN3 available on Xfinity X1, and in part by Lexus. Experience amazing.
That's Tusk the 4th. Tusk the 5th, by the way, was born Saturday, April 19th. That's his dad. So Tusk, number 5, will take over the official mascot duties for the Razorback next season. And right now the Razorbacks, well, they need this crowd noise to spur their offense on as Ty Storey spins for about a yard and a half. And there's the mascot of the future, father and son. How cute is that?
Cute?
Don't you want one for your home?
I don't know if cute's
Don't you want Tusk the 5th be wandering around and making himself comfortable in the Ewart living room?
No.
Second down and a long 8, close to 9. Play action, pop pass over the middle, and that one is deflected. Intended for Cheyenne O'Grady. It'll be 3rd down after we check in with that net.
All right, Bob, once again, an update what's happening in Death Valley. Syracuse and Clemson after a muff pump by Amari Rogers. Eric Dungy on 4th and goal. Dino Babers goes for it. They're up by 10 on ABC. Bob.
Wow, 2 good games. Hopefully you've got the app dialed up so you can watch Syracuse maybe pulling off an upset against Clemson. And a game that is shockingly close, with A&M dominating statistically but missing opportunity after opportunity. 3rd down and 9. Ty Storey under pressure, running for his life. Wings one to the sideline, incomplete. And Texas A&M, after their second missed field goal, to go along with a couple of interceptions thrown by Kellen Mond, all in the scoring area, the defense gets another 3 and out.
Yeah, I think you see a little frustration there from Ty. He knows that if he could have got that ball out a little bit earlier, he got the one-on-one outside to the freshman Woods, does a nice job coming back. But with all the chaos and all the people chasing after him, the ball just flies wide right.
Reed Bauer, wobbly spiral. Rashad Paul lets it bounce. Takes a sideways hop. Out of bounds at the 39-yard line of Texas A&M. So good field position for the Aggies after a 40-yard punt. This season, for every field goal and extra point made by participating universities, All-State will contribute major money to the university's general scholarship fund. We thank All-State. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewert, Allison Williams. It's the Southwest Classic, and it might turn out to be another classic. 3 out of the last 4 have gone to overtime, although Arkansas has lost 6 in a row in this series, and they were a 3-touchdown underdog today, and yet they're only down by 7. A&M back to work at their own 39. Play action for Kellen Mond. Checks it down to Sternberger. Picks up about 7. Trayveon Williams helped out on the edge with a block.
You know, I think at some point here, John Chavis, defensive coordinator, may have to just gamble. Maybe gamble more than he even wants to. He's a guy that likes to pressure anyway, and we've seen that today. And I think he's a veteran enough D coordinator to know that with this offense struggling the way they are, and Kellen Mond already turning it over a couple times, he may just have to ramp up the pressure with his calls defensively.
Williams, first down, and then some. Into Razorbacks territory as he comes close to the 45-yard line. 9 more before Santos Ramirez brought him down. And just adding to a day, Trayveon Williams. Now they go with pace, and it's a false start.
False start. Offense. All 11 players were not set for a second. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
You surprised that Jimbo Fisher wants to play tempo midway through the 4th quarter with the ball in the lead?
Well, I think that is a call of some frustration of execution. Unable to do the little things, so you built that into your package. You get a first down, hey, we're going to come up. If we get that play, we're going to, up tempo and try to toss into the short side of the field and catch them. And unfortunately, you catch yourself because your receiver's unable to get set there before the quick snap.
Mond, long throw to the sideline, coming back to help out the quarterback, Courtney Davis. And he picks up about 5.5, 6. Flags down late. The ball popped out, but according to the official, it looks like they said forward progress was already stopped, so the play was over. And then the flags were thrown after the whistles were blown. It's an 8-yard gain, but we'll have to check the penalty markers.
Personal foul, targeting, defense number 6. The previous play is under further review.
It's Gabe Richardson who's pointing to his right shoulder and saying, I didn't get him with the helmet, unless it's forcible contact to the head or neck area, regardless of the crown of the helmet, of a player that's deemed defenseless. Replay is going to take another look, and so will we.
Defenseless. At that point, is he deemed a stop being a runner, and he becomes a defenseless player?
Well, you'd have to say that you heard or didn't hear the whistle blow. I mean, to me, that's still, if you're Gabe Richardson, a player that's holding onto the football and fighting for yards.
Yep.
He certainly got him with the shoulder, as you can see that, and he's pointing to his right shoulder. He's right about that. That was not the crown of the helmet.
Correct.
But would you say that's forcible contact to the head or neck area of a defenseless player?
Yeah, at that point, the judgment has to be for them that he was a defenseless player. that he had stopped his momentum, that he is being grabbed by 3 guys, and at that point he is deemed defenseless. That's the only way that that's targeted.
Would you call that player defenseless?
With his momentum stop right there, with the magnitude of this game, with 7 minutes to go, and you don't hear the whistle if you're a defensive player, that's putting a huge burden of responsibility on that guy who knows he's got to make a play. It's a difficult judgment for that defensive end.
After review, there is no foul for targeting.
That's the right
Number
call.
6 will be allowed to stay in the game. The result of the play is a completed pass, second down.
And I think that's the right call.
That's twice today.
Yep.
That replay has taken a targeting call and correctly overturned.
Yeah, and I think in both occasions, how fast that is happening on the field, and certainly the first one with a seam route with a defenseless wide receiver, but even in this case, as a D-end is coming into that pile, he's trying to create a turnover. You know, that whistle may have come just before he couldn't stop himself. I think both of those are the right decisions by the replay booth.
Second down at 7. Under 7 minutes to go.
Man to man.
Mond, well protected. Now the pocket starts to collapse. Flag down. And he is brought down. He picked up 1.5 yards, but we'll have to check the marker again.
And this may be hands to the face again.
Personal foul, hands to the face, defense, number 42, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
What does that look on the head coach? Tell all you need to know. It's another killer penalty.
This is on the inside, and it's a D-tackle, Jonathan Marshall. And you're going to see the hands just come up, and they come up under the chin. They force the head and the neck back of that offensive guard, and it's just discipline. It's just those little things as a new coach. If you've got to worry about your quarterback, that's one thing. My punt coverage team, that's another. My kickoff cover is another. My defensive lineman right now is Ramsey earlier, and that time Marshall with just crippling 15-yard penalties.
And how many bullets can you possibly think you're going to dodge if you're Arkansas? Kellen Mond has thrown 2 interceptions on the plus side of the field, and A&M has missed 2 field goals. That's why the lead's only 7. And now they're within field goal range again. Trayveon Williams inside the 25-yard line. Sports Center with SVP tonight after Ole Miss LSU on ESPN. Reactions to Ohio State, Penn State. Plus a first look at the top 4 in the rankings. Could the SEC get only 1 team? And a live report from Paris after the final day, or before the final day of the Ryder Cup. The singles are tomorrow. Can the U.S. pull off a comeback? SVP is as much of a golf expert as we've got. Scott Van Pelt at Sports Center at midnight Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app later tonight. Blitz gunner. Kellen Mond, wide open, dragging over the middle. Camron Buckley inside the 10, inside the 5. It's first and goal at the 4.
And that is just a bust to the nth degree. That is a corner that is dropping back into zone coverage while everybody else is playing man-to-man, and you leave someone wide open. And that someone is capable in Buckley of doing some damage.
Trayveon Williams walks into the end zone with an A&M touchdown.
What did you ask me? How many times can you afford to crippling penalties and those crippling situations? Oh, that many times, because that was simply too easy. But one of the first times the big fellas on that offensive front were able to really get the leverage, were able to seal that edge, and Trayveon, who's done so much of the dirty work for 55 minutes, he finally got a little payday.
Time to take a look at today's hardest working player, brought to you by Duluth Trading Company. And the reason that this game was a close one for such a long time, a couple of interceptions of Kellen Mond, both by Dre Greenlaw, both when it looked like A&M was going in to add points. But you can only get so many stops defensively when the opposition is better than you and has that many opportunities. That's been the story today for Arkansas. And Williams will take a knee. One more opportunity to go back to Adnan.
All right, Bob, thank you. Once again, an update what's happening in South Carolina. Syracuse and Clemson. Cuse 10-point lead, but Travis Etienne, 7th touchdown of the year, 26 yards to scampers in a drive that was just 1 minute and 50 seconds. So 3-point game, 6:48 to go. Once again, it's on ABC as Trevor Lawrence is out. Speaking of quarterbacks, DeAndre Francois and Florida State getting set for Louisville. And this matchup is coming up on ESPN2. Bob, back to you.
All right, Adnan, thanks very much. I am Bob Wischusen here with Brock Ewart, Allison Williams in Dallas. Only 6 first downs offensively today for Arkansas. Now they need 2 scores in 5 minutes. Ty Storey, screen play. Rakeem Boyd down the sideline. And it looks like he may have a first down. Allison?
Well, it was Drake Greenlaw's 2 takeaways that kept Arkansas in this game. But my biggest takeaway from talking to him this week is that your situation, your circumstances do not define you. You see, he grew up in a very unstable home. He was a ward of the state for 6 years, bouncing around foster homes. Until at 14 years old, he met Brian Early and his family. Early, the DC at Fayetteville High School. And at first thought he would just be a mentor to Greenlaw. But very soon, when Greenlaw's boys' home was being closed, they opened up their hearts and their home to Greenlaw, taking him in as a part of the family ever since. But it didn't become official until this summer, when at 21 years old, Drake Greenlaw was officially adopted into the Early family. And he said, paper or not, they are still my parents. And he just wants anybody at home watching that may be in a difficult situation as a kid growing up to know that no matter what, you have to believe in yourself and just focus on controlling what you can, and you can achieve anything.
You know, I know that there's a lot of cynicism sometimes around college sports, and I get why. And there's a lot of scandal in college sports. As Storey drops back to pass and extends the play. And he's going to run and slide for a first down. But Brock, the privilege of getting to cover college sports is you get to meet a lot of kids in a lot of these programs, and you hear a story like that. And just the next time there's a scandal in college sports, I hope the people that are killing it collectively as an industry realize that there are a lot more Drake Greenlaw type stories out there than you ever hear about.
That's really well said. And that some of these student athletes are the most resilient you're ever going to find.
Storey looking for the home run ball again. Woods can't get underneath it, and he's looking for a flag. The true freshman. And all the Arkansas faithful thought he may have been interfered with. That looked like pretty good coverage from Charles Oliver.
There's a little bit of a tug. I could see that being called. We saw one earlier in the first quarter. And that judgment again is, does that little tug impede the opportunity for a receiver to go get the ball? And that could have just as easily been called as it was not. But if you're Michael Woods, true freshman, in time, you've got to play through that contact. When you're a junior or senior, you won't be looking for that flag because you will run right through that arm grab.
Play clock down to 1. Again, a ground ball snap. Storey looking downfield, fires a strike. He's got Cheyenne O'Grady. That's a first down. Now again, Arkansas needs a couple of scores, so this has to be the hurry-up offense playing with tempo after they picked up 24.
Can I give you another story of resilience? How about this quarterback who's taken a beating, who stared down these A&M defenders who've been in his lap, who's had to field pop-ups and ground balls playing quarterback, and then somehow keep his eyes down the field, and that time a really nice strike to O'Grady.
Here comes the blitz again. Storey takes a shot, fires one up the seam. He's got a touchdown. This time Michael Woods gets free and holds on. The true freshman with a 29-yard touchdown catch. And it's not over yet. 3:16 to go. We talked to the teammates and coaches about why they respect Ty Storey.
Yep.
Here's a great example of it.
He knows pressure's coming. Mike Elko is going to bring pressure here. As Arkansas is finally moving the ball a little bit. He knows it. He can see that pressure coming right on. He's going to get hit. And he's going to get hit by Tyrell Dotson, the weak side linebacker, and there's nothing he can do about it other than to stand in there. And Michael Woods, freshman, that got grabbed 2 plays prior. That time he runs right by Charles Oliver on the snap, and Oliver could never regain that separation as Arkansas finds one of its biggest plays of the year in the passing game, right when they needed it the most.
And now it's going to be on the Arkansas defense to see if they can get a stop. If A&M can just pick up 1 first down, maybe 2 at the most, that should be enough to force Arkansas to use their timeouts and end the game.
It just means a little bit more. When you grow up in the state, and growing up where I grew up and staying home to go to college, it just means a little bit more to you. And when you come from a small town in Arkansas and you were everything, you were all-state football and basketball and baseball, you were 2-time the Gatorade State Player of the Year in the state of Arkansas, it just means a little bit more. I think that also came in the decision-making process of Chad Morris of why he's now eventually turned this thing over to Ty Storey and letting some of his guts and resolve and want to play itself out.
3rd all-time passing the football in the state of Arkansas in high school was Ty Storey. Threw for just shy of 12,900 yards and had 156 career touchdown passes. Fair catch. Made at about the 11-yard line by Paul, so it comes out with the new rule this year to the 25. And tonight on ABC, we'll have the top 10 matchup, the Buckeyes and the Nittany Lions at 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central on ABC and live on the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere. The top 2 scoring offenses in college football. You expect a shootout tonight? You think it's going to be that kind of a game where it's going to be in the 40s?
Yeah, I think so. And I'd just be really surprised as we all hunker down and watch that one tonight if either of these teams runs away from the other. I'd be really surprised to see that. McSorley, no matter how down he is, a little bit like this Arkansas offense, how down they have been this season, he just finds a way to go and get it done. And Ohio State and Haskins been awesome to start this season, and he has been facilitating and operating that thing at a high level.
Trayveon Williams shut down before he even gets back to the line of scrimmage. John Chavis was the defensive coordinator last year for Texas A&M. Now he is the defensive coordinator for Arkansas, and he is doing whatever he can to get the football back to his offense.
Yeah, and that was big number 90, Armon Watts. He talked about it and had hardly a sack in his first 3 years on campus. He had another one today. He's got 4 on the season. That time just manhandles. 2 different defenders that come at him, or offensive linemen that come at him.
How are you calling plays here if you're Texas A&M? Are you throwing the ball? Is this, maybe not necessarily just put the ball in the freezer and risk giving it back to an Arkansas offense that all of a sudden has some belief?
This is winning football time. I mean, this is everything that Jimbo is really trying to implore in this program. As much as anything else, he inherited some good talent. I mean, you have seen that on this field today, but what he wants to change is just that winning football mentality, and it becomes these situations. So, no, I'm not just playing conservative. I'm running the ball, I'm play pass, I'm movement, I'm putting my guys in the best positions for success. And for me, that's Mond outside the tackles, where his playmaking and his running ability has been as big a factor against Alabama and Clemson as anything else.
On play action. He is looking downfield. And he's got a hookup. Camron Buckley with a first down. And that is a killer for the Razorbacks, and a gutsy call by Jimbo Fisher to put the ball in the air. Now Arkansas down to 2 timeouts left.
But it's not in the air, dropping back, whole field read, what's going on, what's my protection? It's a play pass. It's getting outside the pocket. And again, I think on the move right now, Mond is at his best.
So now Arkansas will call their 2nd timeout before first down. So now they're only down to 1 timeout left with 2:54. Another update with that now.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. Coming up next, Kyler Murray will not start for the Oklahoma Sooners late to Friday's practice, though he's put up gigantic numbers so far for the Sooners. Instead, Oklahoma and company will be taking on Baylor. That game is coming up on ABC just about 26 minutes from now, Bob.
Boy, how much quarterback drama has there been this year in college football?
Those quarterbacks, golly.
They are so high maintenance.
Can't live with them, can't live without them.
Speaking from experience, obviously.
Oh. And that's been a little bit of Kellen Mond's game today, frankly, right? Some big plays, some awesome plays, and then just a couple just crippling interceptions. But this is money time. This is winning time. This is when his decision-making, your play calling's got to be at its best.
Trayveon Williams, no gain on first down, and the final timeout now called by Chad Morris. So if Texas A&M fails to pick up a first down, they can take the clock down certainly inside of a minute and a half, and that's the best case scenario for Arkansas. They'll get the football back on the neighborhood of what, 1:15, 1:20 to go, no timeouts.
And for Chad Morris, he felt like a week ago down on the plains of Auburn, that locker room was different than it had been all year. There was a response from his team, that there were hugs, there were tears, there was emotion that they did not feel the first 3 weeks of the season. And I think coming into this locker room today, there's no moral victories. There's not. And you put yourself in this position and you've hung around to the 12th round, but there is no question that this group up front, you better not take them lightly. I mean, these linebackers, and that was Harris again delivering a blow. It's Greenlaw's 2 interceptions. It's Armon Watts in the middle of it. I mean, they've got enough SEC caliber players in their front 7. You just can't come in and walk through.
Having said that, if you're Texas A&M, it's a 7-point game with 2:49 to go, and you have to be wide-angle lens saying, how are we here? This is a team that 2 weeks ago lost 44-17 to North Texas, and yet 2 losses for Texas A&M to the number 1 and number 2 teams in America, and almost beat the number 2 team in America, who might go down to Syracuse today. But you've got the better team. You've got more talent. You've got more players, and you've had so many opportunities to put this game away, and you just haven't.
And you didn't, but you got 2:49 to do it. Then you maybe watch some of that game tape against North Texas and those teams in Colorado State and Geesh, we just got to show up. And this is a little reminder, not in this conference. You better not ever just have that mentality to just show up. Oh, and up 14-0 in the first couple minutes? I think that may have played a little role too.
Trayveon Williams bottled up, and the play stopped after a gain of 2. It'll be 3rd down and 8, but now no timeouts left for the Razorbacks, so Texas A&M can work on the clock.
I thought that time there may have been a QB run opportunity. Probably a little more difficult now on 3rd and 8, but I thought that last time. I don't think you want to risk throwing the ball. You've got the nation's best punter right now, who has been phenomenal this afternoon at changing real estate and pinning the Razorbacks back. If you're going to run the QB, I thought, or play pass, that last down was the opportunity to do so.
And now Jimbo Fisher is going to take as much time off the clock as possible. He will use one of his timeouts, and he'll probably do the same thing all over again after the 3rd down play. So with 2:03 to go, the play takes 5-6 seconds. That takes you just under 2 minutes. Take another 40 off the play clock. If you get a stop, if you're Texas A or you're Arkansas, you're going to get the football back with still a realistic amount of time to at least get in position where you can take a shot at the end zone. That is if Braden Mann doesn't end the game with another field position changing punt.
This is the years and years and years of game planning between John Chavis, I think one of the best over 3 decades in college football. And you ask most D coordinators, who's harder to defend it? It's Jimbo Fisher. And these two right now trying to figure out what the other's going to do. And do you take the risk here if you're Jimbo to put the ball in the end?
That was my question. On 3rd and 8, would you throw the ball knowing that a first down ends the game?
I would throw a screen, possibly. If I'm thinking they're going to blitz, and all the tendencies have shown that, I would throw possibly a screen. But more than likely, I'd like a little run option. A little run with my running back, who's got 150 plus, and a quarterback, as I said, who's been really dynamic with his legs this season.
An incompletion saves Arkansas 40 seconds.
Yep.
Here it is. Will the Razorbacks get another chance with the football? Kellen Mond back to throw. Down the sideline, he's taking a shot. Incomplete. They went for the home run to Kendrick Rogers. So now that preserves 40 extra seconds on the clock for Arkansas, and they're about to get the football back. That is a low percentage play. High risk, high reward for Jimbo Fisher.
And you've not called it the other way. You can't call it then. McClellan, yeah, some hand fighting back and forth does not impede the receiver's opportunity, and that is a risk right there that I would not have taken.
You do have the best punter in America, arguably, in Braden Mann. It's a bit short, though. Fair catch called for and made in traffic by Deion Stewart at the 26-yard line. Could you imagine a better case scenario for Arkansas than what they just got?
Nope. And I'll say this, too, as Ty Storey comes on the field. That call by Jimbo is also a first-year, hey, we're going to go for it. We're going to go for it. We're not ever going to just back down to anybody. But you have provided this crowd and these Razorbacks in a really cool environment in the neutral field today. The two fan bases that have driven here and largely filled this place up. One heck of an opportunity in the final minute 51.
Still very surprised that they threw a shot down the sideline as the passing play. Some life for Arkansas. 1:51 to go. And they get it started with a high percentage pass to Jordan Jones. He gets to the sideline, stops the clock, no timeouts left, but a gain of 8.
You just can't have sacks. And you know at some point Mike Elko is going to bring pressure defensive coordinator. And if you're Ty Storey, you just got to avoid the negative play at all costs.
Four-man rush. Storey well protected, and there's the check down to Rakeem Boyd. First down and more. Stops the clock, at least for the moment. Out to the 45-yard line, picks up 11. Are we going to possibly have another overtime game between A&M and Arkansas?
I know for 5 games for us this season, we're all going to have one possession, every one of them coming down to the wire.
Another four-man rush. Storey to the sideline. Dropped. LaMichael Petway lost his footing and couldn't hold on to the football.
That's a pretty good job. A couple line stunts by A&M. They've not brought any extra personnel yet, and you can see it. You're exactly right, Bob. His feet come out from underneath him. And just the inability to corral it, but pretty good protection on back-to-back snaps from Mr. Storey. But I am telling you, at some point, pressure is coming.
Both fan bases on their feet here in Dallas. This time a 5-man rush. Storey with a shot down the sideline, and it's intercepted. Donovan Wilson playing center field, comes over and ends the game for A&M.
And the senior that's had 6 of those in his pocket. The very best guy at taking the ball away on this defense. Well, he reads it perfectly. He's in center field right here, and he's watching the eyes, and you're going to see the deep route come underneath. There's no question here you have the opportunity to throw it short. But instead the eyes, and look at Donovan in the back. He has seen it the whole way because those eyes never come off. You watch Thursday Night Football with veteran quarterbacks, and you saw Kirk Cousins and Jared Goff. What'd they do? When they knew they wanted to take a shot down the field, what'd they do? They manipulate that safety. You hold that safety with your shoulders and your eyes. That's what creates that completion. But if you stare it down, you allow a senior like Wilson, who's very adept at coming out of center field, to make the game-changing, the game-saving play for A&M.
Yeah, I love that look, because as you circle him, you can see his entire body position, his entire forward momentum is already breaking towards where he knows the ball is going to be, and Ty Storey still has it in his hand. So it's victory formation for the Aggies after they come off a 45-23 loss last week at Alabama, a game where they were favored by 3 touchdowns today against Arkansas. But Chad Morris's team put up quite a fight.
Sure did.
A&M is going to survive.
The littlest of details, they always show up. And for Ty, he's not been in that moment. In his career in Arkansas, he's not had that chance. And the only reason that he's even in that moment is because of his guts, because of his toughness and his touchdown pass on the previous possession. And a really good job with some completions. You put yourself there, and that is a lesson that he will never forget. That just the tiniest of little fundamentals and details and making sure you know where that center fielder is plays an awfully big role in the end. What a game. What a game, man. This series has been so much fun. Fun for us a year ago in overtime. Nearly there again this season. And I think for Arkansas, got to feel really good about themselves. And for A&M, they got plenty to clean up.
Well, Chad Morris probably feels in his years at Arkansas like he will never be more shorthanded from a talent standpoint than he is right now. And his team still almost pulled off a shocking result. But the winner is Jimbo Fisher, and he's down there with Allison.
Thank you guys very much, Jimbo. You get your first Win against an SEC opponent here at A&M, but it wasn't without some drama. How did you guys hold on despite some miscues and missed opportunities?
I think our defense did a great job. They responded. They gave up the one drive there when it was 24-10. Other than that, our defense did a heck of a job. They're the heroes of the game. They did a great job. Offense, we moved the ball. We just, in the red zone, screw-ups, missed field goals. I mean, just too many little penalties. We're driving, get a penalty. Too many inconsistent things that good football teams don't do, and we got to grow up. And that's on us coaching. We got to coach them better, make sure that doesn't happen. Call the game better, put them in better position.
When you talk about coaching them better, you mentioned yesterday educating winning, teaching them how to seize opportunities within a game. What are those teaching moments from this game?
Well, I mean, right, you jump out 2 scores. You got the ball backed up, get a punt. We're going to get the ball across the 50. We get a block in the back. Then get backed up, then throw a pick when you can go up 3 scores in the first quarter and start to really put pressure on. Had it coming out the third quarter, missed a field goal down there to go up, not just half the one before that. We could have scored down, got a penalty over there, then throw a pick. I mean, just we're not pressing and not understanding how to win and play from ahead. We've done a good job when we're an underdog. We got to learn to play when we're ahead. We don't have a bad football team if we'll just eliminate this silliness and inconsistency.
What was the message to your defense, though, as they took the field on that final drive there?
Hey, do what we do every day. We work 2 minutes to death. We go at each other good on good every Thursday. I said, do what we do, trust your eyes, play football.
They did that, Jimbo. Thank you. Congrats.
All right, Allison, thanks very much. Brock, that's Jimbo Fisher, basically echoing what we talked about throughout the entire game.
Yep.
So many opportunities for Texas A&M to put away a very spunky opponent. Hey, Arkansas hung in there as long as they could, but A&M comes away with a very important win.
Sure did. This isn't the NFL, and these guys learn lessons and valuable ones every single weekend.
It was a thriller. A&M with a 7-point win. For Allison Williams and Brock Ewart, I'm Bob Wischusen. So long from Arlington. Now it's time for College Football Scoreboard.